Writing once again. So in the CPE writing task, you have two different texts, which you can see in front of you right now. And you have to summarize and evaluate these two texts. So summarize means sum up, yeah, a quick sum up. And then evaluate means using your examples, say whether it's a good argument or a bad argument. Okay, let's quickly read the texts. The phrase quality of life embraces a number of different aspects, including physical health, emotional well-being, material wealth, community life, political stability, job satisfaction, and even geography and climate. Only the most fortunate of individuals will have access to perfect conditions in all categories, and the various quality of life index calculations are averaged out statistics. Yet it could be argued that a person's state of health determines their ability to work and benefit from community life, so is of prime importance. On the other hand, certain aspects are outside the individual's control, political freedom, for example, or the local climate. Quite a difficult one to sum up there, and I think my student did an excellent job. Let's look at the second text. Every year, much media attention is given to quality of life, usually following the publication of reports indicating the best cities to live in, the most temperate world climates, the country with the safest economy, and so on. Such analyses are interesting, but how much use can the individual make of them? In spite of advances in mobility, it is unrealistic for most of us to emigrate to this year's top country, nor should we have to take such a radical step. Everything starts at home. Even those who struggle to make ends meet can enjoy a good quality of life, providing they are healthy and supported by friends and family. Okay, so notice that the two texts do not directly contrast with each other. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And because these two don't, I actually think that they're a little bit harder than some CPE questions. But it doesn't have to be hard as long as you have the right approach. And I think my student certainly does here. I think he does an excellent job of summing up these two positions. Let's have a look. The phrase quality of life encompasses different aspects of our life. A lot of reports have been published over the past 10 years underlining the importance of our satisfaction at work, our social and family life, and even the climate of the region in which we live. I liked that. That's an excellent start. Yet it's not possible for everyone to live up to the expectations of these analyses. Now, I wasn't sure what other examiners would think about this sentence, but for me it was a tiny bit vague, just because what does it mean to live up to the expectation of a study into which cities are the best cities in the world to live? Do those studies have any expectations? Do they expect you to move or not? I just found it a little bit odd that sitting on the end there, that last sentence. Maybe other examiners would like it. I'm never sure. Hi, Massey. Good morning. So the author of the essay has arrived. So I wasn't sure here, and I always like to be fair. I like to justify myself. I can't see how, these analyses have any expectation, if I'm honest. They don't have any expectations that you jump up and move. I know the second text starts to talk about how most of us can't anyway, and that's certainly something I want you to discuss. But this sentence here, right on the end of the introduction, I didn't know where it was leading. And in that sense, I thought it was a little bit vague. Okay, but it's correct. It's grammatically correct. And so I can't say there's anything wrong with it. Okay, the first text suggests that among those aspects that can enhance our quality of life, so I changed what here because we don't use what as a pronoun like that. Among what can enhance our quality of life. No, among those things that can enhance, or among those aspects, we need, after the preposition among, we need a noun phrase. And, what can enhance our quality of life? It's a noun clause. It's not a noun phrase. We need a noun phrase after among. Yeah, so among those aspects that, so those aspects is a noun phrase, and then that can enhance our quality of life is the expanded, it's a relative clause describing those aspects. Okay, so I changed it like that. Among those aspects that can enhance our quality of life, some can be brought under our control, while others cannot. I think that that's nice and clear. I think it's much clearer than some can be brought under our control while others are not possible to be changed by our efforts. So I thought it's much shorter and sweeter sometimes to say some can X while others can't. Yeah, that's just nice and clear. Now, a lot of students write on one side. I know a lot of my Russian students do, and I suppose they're translating from their native language. Sorry, I will quickly read that in a second, Massey. I'll just finish my sentence. So I know lots of students say on the one side, on one side, on the other side, but for me, it's foreign language that has come into English. Everybody says on the one hand, on the other hand, and I don't remember anyone saying on one side, on the other side. So just to warn everybody, I don't see that as a natural expression at all. Yeah, I do. I see what you mean, Massey, and I know what you mean. You're referring to the fact that the second text says most of us can't go and just run away to another country, and I see that. But perhaps it should have been a little bit more tied down to the earlier sentences in the essay, to the rest of the introduction. Yeah, I'd just like to see a little bit more concrete, exactly where you're going with that sentence. So on the one hand, it's up to us to keep on doing physical exercise or following a diet in order to maintain a good state of health, which allows, the good state of health allows, singular, us to work and to have a social life. On the other, being born, and I don't mind on the other, by the way, on the other hand, on the other, sure, that sounds natural. Being born in a country without political stability is something we cannot choose. For example, most of the Africans have to live under corrupt governments, not corrupted, corrupt governments. Corrupt is the adjective. Or dictatorships that impose their rules upon all Africans, regardless of their demands. So I suppose regardless of the Africans' demands, such a condition lowers the quality of their life. Well, you can see perhaps why I've taken out that of, they impose rules on, you don't say of then, they impose rules upon or on the citizens, and it's always regardless of. It's always regardless of. And remember that such a is very often with an A after it. Such a wonderful day, such an awful hotel, such a is very often there. It's rare that you would miss the A out, only if it's uncountable, but such a condition is countable. Okay, the second text says that, not set texts, but the second text says that, let's come down here. The second text says that although there is an index showing that living in certain cities is better than living in others, that's good, it is unrealistic. Well, this word just struck me as that's in the original. Where is it? It's somewhere here. I'm sure it is. It is unrealistic for most of us to emigrate. Okay, it is unrealistic for most people to leave their family and their job. I can see you've changed this part, which is good, but you know loads of other adjectives for unrealistic. So how about it is impossible, it is unimaginable, it is ludicrous, it is far-fetched for most people to leave their family and their job. Yeah, it is expensive. I don't care what you say, but I would rather you used a different adjective than unrealistic, just because it might stick in the examiner's memory that word was used earlier in the text. Okay, for most people to leave their family and their job and move to another place, good. People ought to find joys at home, either having dinner, please remember no article with breakfast, lunch, dinner, with all of your family gathered together, or spending time playing sports with your friends. All of these activities are really valuable and give you a lot of satisfaction. Taking into account, never accounts, it's a set phrase, to take something into account. Taking into account all these facts, I would recommend that people should not pay too much attention to what reports suggest about quality of life, and instead they should enjoy what they have at home. Good ending, just like it's a good start. And really, this paragraph's excellent as well, apart from unrealistic. I just didn't like the repetition of that word. This paragraph is the weakest, but it's only really on the one side. I don't like that. And the bit at the start here, which I thought should be reworded to make it nice and clear and powerful. Okay, let's come on to the second essay. I've got to rush because I've got a lesson very soon. So, dear editor, comma. Yeah, don't forget that comma after the dear sir or dear editor or whatever. That's a noun of direct address. You're talking to the person and calling him a dear editor. And so after that dear editor, you'll need a comma. I read in your magazine an invite to share our concerns about environmental issues. Yeah, the question here is think about an environmental issue that bothers you and explain to the magazine why it's so important and what action should be taken. So I read in your magazine an invite to share our concerns about environmental issues, arguing immediate action. I don't mind that, arguing action, immediate action be taken. But then he's used proper actions down here, and I didn't like it at all. So I'm really keen on this kind of problem since I live in Milan, a city in which several environmental issues have arisen over the past few years. I like it, Massey. You love using A positives with your own city, don't you? You always do it with Milan. It's always Milan and then an A positive, a noun phrase renaming Milan. It sounds lovely, so keep doing it. It's great. Let's have a look. In this letter, I will describe the problem of my city, suggesting possible solutions, yeah? And the word solution isn't in the text already. It's a good word to use. Possible solutions at the end. Now, this was unlucky. You've tried to use the what cleft sentence, but you've misused it, unfortunately. Let's have a look. What strikes you the most when you arrive in Milan? There's your what start, your what clause, your noun clause, is the smog. And it's a great sentence, but just make sure it's right. What strikes you the most, not more, what strikes you the most when you arrive in Milan is the smog. Yeah, not more, because you're not making a comparison. You're saying the most, yeah, you're being superlative. You're saying what strikes you the most, what strikes you first when you arrive in Milan is the smog. People make massive use of cars and motorbikes to get around the city, not a massive use. It's uncountable in this sense. So people make massive use, to make use of, not make a use of, make use of. Giving off, great verb, great phrasal verb, a huge amount of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. In consequence, not as a consequence. I don't recognize as a consequence. Maybe it exists on some websites, but I don't recognize it. Show me it in a dictionary. If it's, I mean maybe Merriam-Webster or Oxford or Cambridge, and not the free dictionary or something like that. In consequence, people have to wear masks when they walk around the centre because of the stingy smell. Stingy means like when you're not generous. It's the opposite of generous. So maybe stinging smell, or maybe noxious, revolting, atrocious smell. And sometimes such is the quantity of smog in the air that you cannot make out what is 10 meters ahead of you. I like that. That's very good. Nice sentence. A lot of complaints have been made by the citizens of Milan, but the city council did not seem interested in this issue, and they dismissed the complaints, saying they were excessive. Saying that were excessive. I've missed that. Saying that they were excessive. Unlucky. Please be careful. Do include your pronouns. Okay, I would argue that action needs to be taken immediately. If we continue to allow cars and motorbikes to get around the city, the air pollution will be unsustainable. Now, I've highlighted the wonderful punctuation. He'll get extra marks for this. It's good. I would suggest 2 measures to improve the situation, : namely, firstly, the city council should prevent vehicles from entering the city centre, for the participle phrase, allowing only people who move by bicycle. Yeah, be careful with spelling of bicycle, guys. Bicycle or on foot, not by feet. Yeah, on foot. It's an exception. By bike, by train, by plane, on foot to access. Secondly, with a lovely semicolon and a nice comma, the council should subsidise the production of electrical cars. I think we usually say electric cars. We do, in fact, electric cars, and invest in new metros in order to make it easier and cheaper for people to use these means of transportation, for the non-defining relative clause, which work, yeah, these means, plural, which work, plural, without fuel. Nicely punctuated and well organised. I like it. Thanks for the opportunity to share my worries. People need to know, and I hope my suggestions will be listened to. Probably better to say acted on, because that means something gets done. Yeah, we want something to get done. We don't want to just be listened to. We want people to listen and then act. So I hope my suggestions will be listened to and acted on by our council as soon as possible. So it's just a suggestion, that one. But both essays, very, very good. The content in them both is excellent. I like the way it's really closely answering the question. So some very good things to say about both of those essays. Oh, stinky. Well, be aware that stinky is very informal. Okay, it is like, oh, stinky, smelly. You might want to think about a nice academic word for an essay like this rather than stinky. Stinky is the kind of thing you might say to a kid, you know, like so it's very childish language. I wouldn't use it in this essay if I were you. There are better words that you could use, like noxious or, you know, revolting, disgusting. Something like that would work better. Is not a dangling participle. Okay, I'm not sure. I'll have a quick look, but then I've got to go because I want to get a cup of coffee. Dangling, arguing immediate action. Where is it? Arguing immediate action. Can't see it. Which paragraph is it in? I can't see arguing immediate action. It's somewhere there, but I'm sorry, guys, I can't see it. Okay, can't see it, guys. I'm going to have to go now because I want to get a coffee before the next class. But is it, you know, in the introduction? Okay. Yeah, I do agree, actually. Arguing immediate action does sound like it applies to the I, because the I is the subject in the main clause. You do want to be careful there, yeah. I read in your magazine an invite to share our concerns about environmental issues and suggest ways, you know, suggest solutions. Let's put it like that, suggest solutions or something like that. Yeah, arguing immediate action is a little bit dodgy there. I do agree. I do agree. Okay, I'm going to have to stop there because I want to get a coffee. But thanks, everybody, for watching. And I hope to see you all soon. Please go to my website, wherever it is over there, if you want to see my